Hello everyone and welcome back to the Drive Guide, and this time for the Kia Stinger GT I have my friend Joe Random. Joe, it's an absolute pleasure having you on.
Max,
it's good to have you.
Great to be here.
Now I wanted to kind of play the game of what I did with Jane Stranger, which is hide what this car is, but you kind of knew what it was, so we're going to have a different string of questions for you. But basically, when you're in this car, do you think it's a Kia? Does it feel like a Kia? Does it look like one?
Actually, I didn't know what it was because you had it taped up nicely, and I wasn't sure at first, but I was thinking that it was probably a Ford or something, you know, non-import.
Okay.
But aesthetically, yeah, it looked like a super nice sort of higher-end sports car.
Okay. So the mission of this Kia Stinger is that it's part of this new wave of what Kia and Hyundai, because they're both owned by the same company, trying to enter more spaces. They've been in the economy space since their inception. They're now trying to make this luxury platform and then also a sports platform as well. Hyundai has something called the N division, which is essentially AMG, but for Hyundai.
Okay.
So this car, it's a totally new platform. It's never existed before. In other markets, it's rear-wheel drive. In Canada, it's only all-wheel drive. But this is a car that's competing against a BMW 440i, an Audi S5 Sportback. And those cars start at $58,000 and $62,000 respectively. And that's before you add anything to them. This one ends, and this is the top trim that we have here, ends at $50,000. So Kia is playing the value card, comparing to the Audi and BMW, which are its primary competition.
So this would be priced $50,000 on a lot right now.
Yeah, if you went to go and pick up this exact car, it's $50,000.
And this is their top model.
Yes, this is the GT Limited.
Okay.
So the GT Limited, it has the 3.3 twin-turbo V6, has all of the safety tech that you can imagine. We've got heated and ventilated cooled seats. The rear seats are heated. In the most basic Stinger, it gets a 2-litre turbo, and that one comes in at, I think, $38,000. But this is the car everybody is talking about because this is the one that is directly matched to that Audi and Beamer. So when you got into it, thinking, you know, it is a Kia, did you think this would be matching up against a BMW and an Audi on first impression?
Well, I have read about Kia and going up against, or just, you know, little article about Kia's intentions and Hyundai's intentions.
Okay.
So I do know that, you know, they're going after some of that luxury market, and but yeah, it's you know, 5-10 years ago, you would have never dreamed you'd be in a Kia.
Yeah.
Right now, like this is, it's and it's a lot bigger once you get in.
Yeah.
And the legroom is huge. The back seat looks like it'd be comfortable for like 2 adults easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, not hugely surprising today, but it is unbelievable that it's a Kia. You know, if it was 3 or 4 years ago, for sure.
And what do you think of the design? Do you like the look of the interior and exterior, like how the vents are laid out and the buttons?
Well, yeah, it's super nice. So clean. You know, I'm tons of junk in my car, 3 dogs, it's kind of crazy. So just to sit in a cockpit like this, that's just, I mean, the steering column there is pretty unbelievable.
Yeah.
The touch screen, yeah, it's just, I've never owned a car with a touch screen in it.
Well, one of the new things that you're finding in many, many, many vehicles is the touchscreen integration with Apple Carplay and Android Auto.
Yeah.
And I don't have my phone plugged in, so I can't show you, but it's something that people are expecting out of new cars these days because it's like Siri integration. It reads your messages. It's easy to play music. You never have to set up Bluetooth. You just have to plug in your phone, and it's a done deal. And Kia and Hyundai, that was one of their cards they played right from the beginning. This UVO system, they call it, always had that capability because it's what consumers want. And I personally know I wouldn't buy a brand new car without Apple CarPlay implemented. But when we get back onto this open road, I want to show you sort of the performance of this Kia, because again, people might snicker and laugh and say there's no way a Kia is fast. But this one has 365 horsepower,
Wow.
376 pound-feet of torque, and it can do 0 to 100 kilometers in 4.6 seconds. We're not going to do this on this road.
Why don't we take it to the highway?
You know, we could take it to the highway.
Yeah, I mean, because you're not going to be going 100 along
This
Bow Valley Trail.
So let's go this way here.
Wow.
So that's just, you know, showing you kind of the road grip capability.
Wow.
And then here's just some hit. So that wasn't a 0 to 100 rolling stop, but that kind of shows you the speed it can go.
That is pretty powerful.
And when you compare it to its competition, it's right in line with what those cars can do too. They have 8-speed transmissions, they've got all-wheel drive, they've got 6 cylinders, and we have to kind of get past this whole badge appeal. Same thing when it comes to guitars or shoes or wine bottles. You know, people will see a badge or a name that they recognize as being a premium thing and will be willing to pay 10, 15% more, whatever the number is. And with this Kia, I think their biggest hurdle is not making a better car, because I think this is a very good show of what is really a first attempt, but it's trying to get average people that would be going into a BMW dealership saying, you know what, no, I want a Kia instead.
Yeah, I mean, if I had somebody that, or a friend that was interested in buying a BMW, I don't know if they'd even be looking at a Kia.
Yeah.
And again, it's the stigma of the name, right? It's just they want a BMW. Yeah, unfortunately, most people are kind of shallow that way.
Because if you're in the same sort of job or the same sort of environment where everyone's showing up in their German vehicles, you know, and you have to show up in this, well, you don't have to, but you show up in this and you kind of get into the conversation of why would you ever buy a Kia? You can play that value card, but I feel like for a lot of people that are buying any kind of name brand, they want you to know they've spent the money on that badge. And that's something that doesn't necessarily exist here, but I believe it has the potential to convert people if they just simply give it a try.
Do they have initial numbers yet? Like, has it been well received by, are they hitting their sales targets?
Well, with this car, it was the first ever Kia that they actually reserved. So when they showed it off at motor shows, they said to people, do you want to put, you know, a deposit down and buy it? And they sold out of those numbers really quickly. I don't know what their sales numbers have been in Canada, but I'll say personally from my experience, I see way more 440i's than I do Stingers. But every time I see a Stinger, I stop and look at it because it is a momentous vehicle, in my opinion.
Yeah, like, to be honest with you, like, for me, you know, it's got to fit 4 people. Trunk looked big. You could put some golf clubs in there, probably even 4 sets of clubs.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's super roomy and it's very sporty. You know, who knows? One of these days, you know, I'm looking to get out of the whole dog car thing. Or one of the cars will be for the dogs, and one should, you know, a nicer car. But yeah, like, this is, again, I wish I was just randomly sitting in here and I had no idea. And if you were to tell me it was, well, back to the German car or an import, I'd believe whatever you were to tell me, right? Without seeing the logo on the front of the hood.
So then when it comes to the point of, you know, maybe considering a vehicle like this, do you still want a sedan, or are you part of the whole SUV movement and you don't want to be sitting low, you'd rather be sitting high?
Oh no, I mean, but again, stage of life, right? So
Okay.
my kids I'm close to being an empty nester and something to be going into the city with. But right now, you know, with the business, I mean, it's kind of, we need 2 cars. One's the SUV, storage
You can throw stuff
capabilities,
in.
dog car, and then something that, you know, to tour in. To be doing a bit more exploring, a bit more driving. Yeah, this is super nice.
And is there anything you don't like regarding the car? Is there anything that you question?
No, not really. I mean, and I'm actually from the frame of mind that I'd rather have a Kia than a BMW.
Okay.
Because of, again, the stigma. It's like, all of a sudden, Jay gets an import car, drops 60, 70 grand on a car, and just being, with the business that I have, I've always kind of liked to fly a little bit below the radar, and not be so showy. So to have something like this, being a Kia, not to mention the value too. I mean, everybody's about value, right?
It's an interesting movement, and I'm really wishing the best for Kia, because there's no question they've made a good car. It's a question, can they get the people they want buying it? And when you say not so showy, I think this is a showy vehicle, and that for people that know cars, know what this is, and they might want to talk to you. But you're a social guy.
I think I said not so showy, being just the fact of the,
smugness of it.
Well, the Kia too, just the Kia brand. I mean, it doesn't, I don't know if it's going to turn heads like a BMW, just the logo, right? And, this is a beautiful car, obviously, right? And it is a competitor to those cars. But I'm just saying, if you walk by a Kia right now, I think people be surprised, like, holy shit, that's a Kia. But again, it's about, the market, and the import buyer, the BMW, Mercedes guy, are they going to buy Kias? And just going for the drive that I just did with you, I mean, this is definitely awesome value and something that you hope people are going to consider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great way to close it up, and thank you so much for coming along this drive with me. So your final thoughts is that, it's a good car. It could have any badge here. But seeing as that it's a Kia and it's doing something new and it's coming at a significantly lower price point, it makes it a more attractive option to you.
For me, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. See if Christine will let me go for it. But, I could own one of these cars in the very near future for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Max, thank you very much.
And if you want to see the full review to the Kia Stinger, be sure to click the I button just above, and also the Jane Stranger video that will be coming out tomorrow. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Cheers.